All right, hello everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Florida Physique Report. Today is Wednesday, November 4th, 2015. And this is episode number 48 of the Florida Physique Report. And on today's show, we are going to have a review of the first annual Champions Cup, which took place last weekend in Orlando, Florida on Halloween night. Actually, Halloween day, because they held it a little bit earlier. Chris Challenger was the promoter. It was the first time promoting a show with the MPC, so we'll have a review of the results of that. This weekend there is a big show coming up in St. Augustine, and it's the All South, the MPC All South. It's the national qualifier. It's promoted by Gene Schlossberg and Pete Fancher. It is the last competition of the Central Florida area for 2015, and because it's a national qualifier, it's going to be a huge show. It's always a big show. It'll be at St. Augustine High School, and like I said, it'll be November 7th this weekend. For more information on that show, go to allsouthchampionships.com and try to make it out to that contest. It's going to be a really, really big contest. I was there last year, and they had some excellent competition. I talked to Pete Fancher last weekend at the Champions Cup, and he said he's already got just 10 women's physique competitors alone. So you can imagine how some of the other divisions are going to be. It's going to be a huge show. On today's show, we're going to talk to Chris Challenger, who was the promoter of last week's Champions Cup. And like I said, Chris has been a promoter in the bodybuilding field for a long time. He did some natural competitions, and this was his first MPC show, so we're going to talk to Chris. Before we go over the results of the Champions Cup, I want to mention what's coming up in the month of November. We are, like I said, coming toward the end of the competition season. There's going to be one more contest in December, but November is really the last full month of bodybuilding competitions for the MPC. As I said, we got the All South this weekend, the MPC All South Championships taking place in St. Augustine, Florida. That's going to be a really big contest. It's a national qualifier, and like I said, that's the last show for the Central District. Next weekend on November 14th, they got the Florida Gold Cup, which is actually a steroid-tested show, and it is also a national qualifier. It's going to be taking place at the Palm Beach County Convention Center in West Palm Beach, Florida. Go to mpcfloridagoldcup.com for more information on that show. Also on the same day in the Panhandle, there's going to be taking place a contest called the Northwest Florida Flex Fest, and that'll be taking place in Pensacola, Florida, and Maury Harrison is the promoter for that competition. And then the week after that, November 20th and 21st, is the main show of the year, the MPC Nationals, the biggest national level competition of the MPC schedule. And that will be taking place in Miami, Florida at the James L. Knight Center. For more information on that, go to nationalbodybuilding.com. Of course, these are pro qualifiers. I believe it's the top 2 in each division. Get their pro card, so it's going to be an incredible show. I was out there last year, and I'll be sure to be out there this year to cover it. And then finally, on November 28th, they have the South Florida competition, which is also a national qualifier, and it's taking place in Miami, Florida, at the Miami-Dade County Auditorium, and Sergio Pacheco will be the promoter there. All right, so we got a lot of competitions coming up in November for Florida. All right, let's go over the results of the Champions Cup. Like I said, this was the first annual Champions Cup, took place in Orlando, Florida. They started off with a fit model competition, which was actually a Halloween costume competition because it was taking place on October 31st on Halloween. And Nicole Nurstheimer was the women's winner, and Joshua Citron was the men's winner. And Joshua dressed up as Randy Savage. He came out and did a little Randy Savage imitation at the beginning of the show, which was pretty cool. They started off the competition with the Masters Men's Bodybuilding. Thomas Manning won the over 60. He was the only competitor in that division. Over 50 went to Marichelle Seymour, and this was the first time I ever saw Marichelle Seymour, but man, this guy was an incredible bodybuilder. What an imposing figure on stage. 6'3", almost 230 pounds, ripped. This guy was amazing. For any age, he was amazing, but to be 52 years old and look like this guy did, just incredible. So my hat's off to Marichelle Seymour. He just looked really fantastic. He blew me away. And then Antonio Harris was the over 40 winner. And then in the overall, Marichelle Seymour was the unanimous winner in the Masters Men's Bodybuilding. So congratulations to him. The novice bodybuilding went to Zach Maxfield, who was really ripped. Teen bodybuilding went to Robert Davis, and Robert, I got to mention, great posing routine, man. This guy really put a lot of work into his posing routine, and it's always great to see these young competitors really putting work into their posing. He had a lot of lunging poses, a lot of kneeling poses, and you could tell he really put a lot into it. He got a really good crowd response too. So congratulations to Robert for doing that, and we look forward to seeing him in the future. In the figure division, the Masters figure over 50 went to Bridget Bright. And then over 40 went to Giselle Gutierrez, who had really good stage presence. And over 30 went to Nicole Nurstheimer, who won the fit model competition. And then the overall, Giselle Gutierrez was the overall winner, so congratulations to her. Figure novice went to Alicia Keister, and it was sort of funny, Alicia's sister is also, her twin sister is a competitor, and she was one of the trophy girls, so she handed her out her trophy. So that was cool to see. Alicia looked really good. Really good structure, wide shoulders, small waist, and she's done quite a few competitions in the past, and this was her first NPC win, so congratulations on that. In men's physique division, the Masters division, they only had one competitor in the over 50. His name was Sean Grove. And then in the over 40 went to Alan Tomlinson, with Alan winning the overall in the men's physique Masters division. And the men's physique novice, that went to Patrick Rosenthal, and there was a lot of competitors in that division. I think there was about 20 competitors, and we saw Patrick go at the Ocala Cup, and he's a really good competitor. He actually crosses over. Sometimes he does bodybuilding and men's physique. The teen men's physique went to Carlos Pu. He looked really good. Going into the bikini, the Masters division went to Miriam Jenkins. She won the over 50. Theathu Tran won the over 40 division, and Susan Roberts won the over 30 division, and Susan Roberts won the overall Masters bikini. And I talked to Susan after the show, and she was also a first-time competitor in the MPC, and she did really well. She's thinking about doing the Team Universe next year. Teen bikini went to Taylor Futch. We've seen Taylor compete several times this year. She always does really well. She'll probably do really well when she moves up to the open division also. And then novice bikini, again, went to Susan Roberts, who I believe beat out another 20 competitors in that division, so that was really big. All right, going over to the women's physique, Stephanie DeSantos was the winner there. And then in the open men's bodybuilding, the lightweight went to our over 60 winner, Thomas Manning. Middleweight went to the novice bodybuilding winner, Zach Maxfield. Light heavyweight went to Hercules Collins, competing in like his third or fourth show this year. Hercules always has really good stage presence, very ripped, and he's chasing that overall title. He usually wins his class, but he hasn't won the overall yet. I think he needs a little bit of work in the off season, putting on some size, and I think next year will be his year. But he's a good competitor. This is his first year competing. And then the heavyweight went to Rock Contardi. And I've seen Rock compete over the last couple of years. He's got a really great physique. He's about 6'1", probably about 215, 220 pounds. He's a natural bodybuilder. This show was a drug-tested competition, by the way. I should mention that. And Rock looked fantastic. I think this was the best he ever looked. Came in really peak condition. He's got a really good structure, good muscle mass. Does a lot of Arnold poses. He's a fan of the old school classic bodybuilding, which I'm a fan of also. I helped Rock a little bit with his posing. We did a training routine, a training video at the Powerhouse Gym out here in downtown Tampa about a week ago, and Rock looks really great. So congratulations to Rock. This was his first overall win. And then the figure open, Class A went to Alicia Keister, who was the novice winner. Class B went to Giselle Gutierrez, who was the Masters winner. And then Class C went to Stephanie Kirkland. And in the overall, Alicia Keister won the overall. She just had, I think, the best structure and the best mixture of conditioning and size. So congratulations to Alicia. A men's physique open, Class A went to Austin Holt. Class B went to Patrick Rosenthal, who was our novice winner. And then Class C went to Zaim Siddiqui. And in the overall, Zaim Siddiqui won the overall. It was looked like it was pretty close between him and Patrick. But Zaim took that overall. He had a really good back development, and I think this was his first overall win, so congratulations to him. We'll look forward to seeing him next year also. Finally, the competition finished off with the Bikini Open. Maria Diaz was Class A winner. Marcia Goncalves was Class B winner. And Susan Roberts, who was our novice winner, also won Class C. And then in the overall, Marcia Goncalves who is originally from Brazil, and I believe this was her 4th or 5th overall win, and she is fantastic. She looks like a pro bikini competitor. She just really looks fantastic, and she's trying to get that pro card, and I think she's going to get it really, really soon. I think she has to win so many overall wins in order to qualify for a pro card, and she's going to go to her home country to try to do that. She's also really done well at the Arnold Classic out in Columbus in the amateur division. If you've ever seen those competitions, there's hundreds of competitors in those contests, so that just goes to show you how great Marcia really is. She has a great look. Okay, so that wraps it up. Congratulations to Chris Challenger. It was a very, very good show, especially being held on Halloween. And like I said, he held it a little bit earlier. He held it at 2:30. The finals were at 2:30 instead of the normal 6 o'clock, in order so everybody could finish up early and then go out and party for Halloween. All right, let's take a break here from our sponsors, and when we come back, we're going to be joined with our interviews with Chris Challenger. So we'll be right back with the Florida Physique Report. Check out NFE All Natural Warrior Supplements, featuring pure isolate protein made with natural stevia flavor, 1 gram of sugar and no fat. NFE Trim, thermogenic fat burner, boost your metabolism, suppress your appetite, build strength, develop muscle, and shed that body fat. Go to NFE.com today.
NFE stands for No Freaking Excuses.
All right, welcome back to the Florida Physique Report, and our guest this week is Chris Challenger, and Chris was the promoter of the Champions Cup last weekend out in Orlando, Florida, and it was a very successful show. We wanted to talk to him about his career as a promoter. How you doing, Chris?
Doing well. How are you?
Good.
So on Saturday.
Yeah, it was a very good show.
Like the Clark Kent gear you had going on there.
Yeah, you like that? When we were at the show last week, Val said that your MC Val Jansky said, "Welcome to the NPC." So obviously you've been promoting shows for a while. Tell us a little bit about some of the other shows you've done and what got you into promoting bodybuilding competitions.
I've competed, or I've been promoting for a couple years. My last 2 shows were the Sunshine State Championship and the Champions and Challengers.
Okay.
So those were 2 shows that I did with my old organization, and this year I decided to come over to the NPC just because there's a bigger platform for more competitors.
Yeah, I agree.
I know the NPC is one of the biggest, probably I think the biggest amateur venues for competitors.
Yeah.
And I think they probably have like 42 million followers on Instagram. I was just checking that out the other day. I was like, wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So I just wanted to give it a shot. It was a good experience. It has been a good experience so far.
Yeah. Now you do natural competitions like I do, right? You do the drug tested shows.
That is correct.
What got you into doing that? What was your reasoning for that? Is that just something you believe in?
Well, I am a natural athlete. I started out being a natural competitor, and I'm still a natural athlete. I have not competed since 2008, but my entire career of competing was natural. And for me personally, the reason I wanted to do a natural show is when I competed, there weren't too many natural shows around.
Right.
I just felt like I was way in over my head in some of the competitions. So when I had the opportunity to put on a natural show for natural competitors, I figured that it would be a nice thing to give back to, other natural competitors that, probably were going through the same frustrations that I was.
Right, right. Yeah, I think it's good to have that choice for the competitors if they choose to do that, So tell us a little bit about the show on last Saturday, the Champions Cup. That was your first one. It was held out in Orlando, and it looked like you had a really good turnout for your very first event.
We had a good turnout. We had 70-plus competitors. It was a little nerve-wracking, not having that many competitors in the past. Just kind of dealing with, all the questions and different personalities, and You know, we had our fair share of challenges as the year went on. I had initially booked one venue, and 6 weeks prior to the competition, I got a phone call and an email from the administration saying that the venue was double booked and I'm being dropped.
Oh gosh.
You know, and for someone who's not competed or not promoted a show, seems, you know, 6 weeks seems like plenty of time to find a new venue.
Right.
I can tell you that was super stressful.
Yeah.
Because at 6 weeks out, you know, you're scuffling around trying to find a venue. The responses that I was, you know, getting was, you know, oh, you should have called 6 months ago. You should have, you know, you should have called us, you know, 2 months ago. And I'm like, I didn't have that option 2 months ago. I thought everything was flying smoothly.
Right.
So 6 weeks out, you know, I'm just kind of taking whatever came along. And even at that point, it was difficult to get some of the individuals, you know, in charge of these facilities to give you a call back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of stressful. And then changing all my banners, changing all my flyers.
Oh man.
You know, changing up all the information on the website.
Right.
It was a little challenging.
Yeah.
But you know, I always say, you know, if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you.
Right. And you're always worried about the competitors too, because you know they're dieting, they're carb depleted. That anything like changing a venue is going to be a huge thing for them. You know,
it freaks them out, and I think it freaks out some of their friends and families. I was getting calls on Saturday, the day of the show, from individuals that were at the venue that we previously had on the flyers. Hey, what time is the prejudging? Because I'm here and no one's here. I'm like, oh, no, we moved.
Right. Unbelievable. And you had it on Halloween Day, so you decided to do the finals a little bit earlier, so people.
Yeah, you know, when Pete and I spoke last year about the dates that were available, it was pretty limited. It had a couple dates in the spring, and then maybe 1 or 2 dates in the fall. And I kind of figured, you know, it would give me a little bit more momentum, a little bit more speed if I waited until the fall to get the word out, being that it was a first-year show.
Yeah.
And, you know, being that it was Halloween, I figured, you know, people would want to go out and party afterwards, do some trick-or-treating, those who had kids. So we moved our finals up to 2:30. And I think it went well. Some people were kind of like, wait, we're not coming back at 6:30? you know, we're so accustomed to coming back at 5:30 and 6:30 for finals. That 6:30 just seemed like an odd time. But I think the audience showed that it really didn't matter that much. And when it was all done, you know, we still had sunlight. People were excited to go out and, you know, have a good time. We were close enough to downtown that, you know, it wasn't that far of a trek for a lot of the competitors that were doing the Halloween costume contest. To go downtown and just kind of mingling with the rest of the common folk. Right.
And bodybuilders love Halloween. Everybody loves dressing up, you know. So with your show, Chris, what do you try to bring to the table as a promoter? You know, when you do an event, because you've done quite a few now.
I'm trying to bring a fun atmosphere. I've been to a lot of shows, competed in a lot of shows. That is so serious. It's very rigid. I've attended shows as a guest, and you know, at some point, if you don't have a vested interest in the show, if you don't have a competitor in the show or a friend in the show, it starts becoming, you know, kind of mundane. You start feeling like, all right, I saw that guy already. Oh no, that's a different guy, just a different colored trunk. I kind of want the show to be more of a party, you know, something to be entertained, so that the average Joe walking off the street who may not know anyone in the show can come in, have a good time, be entertained, and say, you know what, I got something out of that. It was fun, it was entertaining, we saw some great physiques. I kind of have an understanding of bodybuilding now.
Yeah. Now, do you do training out there? Because a couple of the competitors I talked to after the show, when I did my interviews, they said they did the show because of you.
I do training out here. Team Challenger, teamchallenger.com. So I do some show preps. Majority of my time I spend with my average clients. You know, the mom and dad that, you know, just want to stay fit for the grandkids. I'd say maybe 10 or 15% of my clientele compete. But most of my clients are, you know, the working guy, you know, the stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
You know, they need to stay in good shape for, you know, their kids, for themselves, for their grandkids.
Right.
You know, just kind of making sure that they stay well.
Yeah. Let's talk about the show itself. You had some really good competitors. I was really impressed with your Masters bodybuilding winner, Marichal. I never saw him before, but he's obviously been competing for many, many years. I think he said he's competed 20-something years. And
Yes.
what an imposing figure he was. 52 years old, and he's a monster.
He is impressive.
Yeah.
He's impressive. I met him about 2 years ago
Okay.
at another show that I promoted in Tampa. And that guy was amazing. And the response that he got this weekend was the same response that he got 2 years ago. Amazing physique, great guy. You know, he is a tremendous person. And, you know, very humble. He just kind of sticks to the old school methods, according to him. He's like, I just like being in the gym.
Yeah.
I don't know what these young guys are doing. He's like, I go backstage and I hear all these guys are doing this and they're doing that and they're doing fasted cardio and they're counting macros. He's like, I don't know what any of this stuff means, but I just like being here.
Right. Yeah, he seemed like a really nice guy, too. Very humble, like you said. And
Really cool guy.
yeah, and a huge guy. I mean, and he's a natural athlete also, right?
Yes, yes.
That's incredible. Yeah, it's great. You go to these shows and you see these guys come out of the woodwork that you never saw before, you know, and it's just, you get to see some amazing people.
Oh, definitely.
And then Rock Contardi, who won your men's overall bodybuilding, I've seen him compete over the last couple of years. He's another impressive natural bodybuilder.
Yes, this weekend was the first time I've met him in person. I've seen him compete before. I've seen some of his pictures on social media, but I hadn't had the chance to meet him until this weekend. Great physique, though.
Yeah, he's got sort of an old school classic physique too.
Yes.
I helped him with his posing a little bit the week before the show, but yeah, it's good to see young guys like that, especially natural bodybuilders, whether they're like Marichal, who's been around for 20 years, or a new guy like Rock, who are coming up. It gives a lot of hope to people that do want to compete natural, and you can see how great some of these bodybuilders can look.
Oh, absolutely.
Anybody else stand out for you, Chris, in any of the other divisions, or?
You know, I had one girl that competed in the open figure, Alicia. She won the overall.
The overall, right?
And her sister, her twin sister, actually, beautiful girls. I contacted her. She's on my flyer for the show this year. I met her about 2 years ago, and last year her sister won Pete's show up in St. Augustine, the overall.
Okay. Yeah.
And so this year I had the honor, the pleasure of training her sister, Alicia, getting ready for this show. Did very well. And maybe about a week or so before the event, she sent me a picture of last year, her progress from last year to this year. And she said, you know, we did a great job, you know, considering that I haven't lost a pound since last year, but my physique has changed tremendously.
Yeah.
And, you know, my response to her was, you did the work. You know, we were just kind of, you know, going back and forth. We were changing up her workout program, changing up her macronutrients, you know, from week to week. But she did a phenomenal job. She looked really awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember seeing her sister last year, and then it was funny when I was watching the contest, and then Alicia was out there getting the award, and then I was like, is that the same girl? I mean, did she change clothes backstage? You know?
Yeah, they have that effect on everyone.
Yeah.
I've known them for a couple of years now, and when I see them coming to me, it's just like, am I blurring? Is my vision blurry? Because they are identical.
Right. I know they are. And you seem like you had a couple like Alicia and then Susan Roberts also, who was the Masters bikini winner. They seem like they came from other natural organizations over the NPC, so that was good to see. Correct.
Yeah. I think, I mean, the NPC has a huge following, as we mentioned earlier. And I think just opening it up to, you know, a couple more natural shows gives the athletes an opportunity to be exposed to a bigger audience. And in this day and time, I think everybody is looking for an audience, you know, on social media.
Yeah.
So I think it gives them a bigger reach. So I think it'll do well.
Yeah, me too. What do you think about this new division coming up next year, Chris, the classic physique? I'm hearing a lot of competitors talk about that. A lot of people seem very excited about it.
I kind of like it. I have one gentleman that I'm working with that would be ideal for that category. He is kind of in between bodybuilding and physique right now, and it just seemed like he can't pinpoint it. We can't pinpoint it as to which category he's going in. I think the classic physique is going to be a great category for a lot of athletes that, you know, have awesome legs. They want to show their legs. They don't want to do the full-on bodybuilding, but they're a little bit too big for physique.
Yeah.
I think it will have a nice following.
Yeah, I'm excited about to see the posing come back, because I think that's one thing that's been overlooked, you know, the last few years in bodybuilding, because they don't judge it anymore. And I think a lot of the pros aren't as good of posers as they used to be. And
Agreed.
the amateurs always learn from the pros. So it seems like now it's going to bring an emphasis back on the posing. You know, I don't know if they're going to be judging it or not, but it seems like all these competitors who are going in it, they seem like they have to learn the posing. Like they know it's going to be about classical physique. So they know they're going to have to bring back that old school posing. Which
is good.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I can't wait to see that.
It brings up the appreciation for the physique much more.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be really big because I'm seeing a lot of competitors really talk about it, which I don't remember ever seeing that over the last few years. I don't remember anybody talking this excitedly about, you know, a new division.
Right.
Yeah.
It should be good.
So next year you're going to do the Champions Cup again then, I'm assuming?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, without a doubt.
Okay. Any plans for next year, or it's still too far away?
I'm still trying to process, you know, the past weekend.
Yeah.
I've sent out some surveys to competitors.
Okay.
I've actually posted it on Facebook, just trying to get some feedback as to what competitors like.
Yeah.
They disliked. I'm even opening the survey to just people that were in the audience.
Yeah.
Getting a feel for what they want, what they like, and as much as possible, try and accommodate that.
Yeah.
So right now it's more of you know, just kind of processing the information from last weekend.
Yeah.
And you know, just kind of getting a little bit of feedback, making sure that, you know, we kind of dot all the I's and cross all the T's before we go into next year's. I feel we have enough time between now and even January to start kind of tweaking a little bit of things, and then kind of really get going once the 2016 season rolls around.
Yeah. Yeah, Florida's an amazing state, isn't it, for bodybuilding? I mean, I came from Illinois 5 years ago, and I'm just blown away by how great it is out here.
Oh my gosh, it's ridiculous. There's so many competitions, so many competitors.
Yeah, so many competitors. It's amazing. I mean, that one weekend a couple of weeks ago, I think there was like 5 shows going on in Florida all in the same weekend, and they were all pretty well attended. 3 NPC shows in one weekend. It was crazy.
Amazing.
Yeah. All right, Chris. Well, thank you for having us out last week at the Champions Cup, the first annual Champions Cup, and we wish you the best in your competitions. And welcome to the NPC.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks for joining us on the Florida Physique Report.
All right, that's it for the Florida Physique Report. Thank you for joining us again. Join us next week. We're going to have a review of the All-South competition, which is taking place this weekend. It's going to be a huge show, big national level event, and we'll have all the results and all the photos of that next week. And also be sure to check out FloridaPhysique.com this week. We got a lot of great stuff on there. We got the Rock Contardi training video, and we've also got the Mike Quinn Legends of Bodybuilding interview Part 2 coming up next week. So look for that. We'll see you guys next week. Have a great weekend, everybody.